Hi there, this is Sami Wunder, certified dating and relationship coach for fiercely successful women who also want to be fiercely loved. And today I'm going to be answering a question that I get very often from many women who work with me, and it is about jealousy. So, how do you handle feelings of jealousy from other women or for other women in your relationship? Now, I have a question that I got from one of my private clients, and I'm going to quickly read out to you before we talk about on how do we handle jealousy, the jealousy that we feel towards other women in our relationship. So here's Maya. Maya says, "Hi Sami, as you know, after working with you for a year privately, I have a Tiffany ring on my finger, amazing, and a man who is devoted to me. Thanks so much for all your help in helping me reach here. Now that we are engaged, I find that new set of insecurities come up for me. My fiance has a lot of female friends, some very attractive ones, and these women just don't feel good to me. I find myself feeling very jealous, and it occupies my emotional space a lot. When I brought this up with him, he said they mean nothing to him. They are just friends. But I still feel jealous, Sami. How do I handle this, Sami, since I'm so afraid that I will ruin everything if I don't do something about this soon? Maya." Okay, Maya. Firstly, congratulations on your engagement. Woohoo! Good things first. All right, so very well done. Make sure that you are being proud of yourself and congratulating yourself on how far you've come in just a year, and for all this great happiness that you have created intentionally for yourself. So congratulations on that, firstly. Now, regarding the jealousy, firstly, I want to normalize it a bit for you that, when we feel like we're jealous, we feel like something is wrong with us, or we feel like we're crazy and we should never be feeling these feelings. But frankly, jealousy is a very normal emotion. And almost everybody out there who is authentic and who's honest will accept that every once in a while it does come up, and it's very normal that you feel this way. So I just want to firstly normalize jealousy a bit, that there is nothing that you have to feel sorry about. There's nothing that you have to feel ashamed about just because you feel this emotion of jealousy. However, as you can also imagine, it is supremely important that if you feel that the jealousy is getting out of hand, that you ask for support, because it is indeed a very extreme emotion. It's a very intense emotion, and it can literally ruin entire relationships if it's not managed well. So for you, Maya, I have two ways in which I would consider that you look at your situation. Okay, so one is it you or is it him? Okay, so these understanding whether it is about your own insecurities, understanding whether this jealousy is about your own perception of yourself, or whether it is actually being triggered by things that he is doing, what he should not be doing. So he's practicing behaviors that no committed man practices, and that's why you are feeling triggered or you are feeling jealous. So I feel it's supremely important that you understand what is the origin of this jealousy that you're feeling. Is it because you feel insecure? Is it because you are building, a figment of imagination in your head about what he's doing with these women that you feel jealous of? Or is it really true that your jealousy is justified, that he is putting you in situations that no committed man should ever put a woman in? Okay, so this for me is the most striking way, or most effective way of looking at the situation with clarity before we go into what you should do about it. Okay, so you have to find out, is it self-love problem, or is it his love for you that is the problem? Okay, is he the one triggering emotions through his unrightful behaviors, Or are you building up things in your head and imagining things that don't exist and sort of torturing yourself and giving yourself pain? Okay, now that should already give you enough clarity. If you have, for instance, facts, if you have evidence, if you can see that there are things going on that naturally are crossing the limits or naturally crossing the line of healthy boundaries in committed relationships, then this is not about you, okay? Then this is about something he's doing, okay? And you have a full right to address this in the most respectful way and most powerful way, which I will be talking about, okay? But if you don't have those facts, if you don't have those evidence, for instance, if a man is just meeting his attractive female friends, you know, once in a month, and you're there and you can see him talking to his friends, and you still feel jealous, even though afterwards he doesn't talk to them, afterwards he doesn't take them out, afterwards, you know, he's not really in touch with them, then you know this is a figment of your imagination, okay? That you're building this up, that this is about your self-esteem, this is about your love for yourself. However, if he's texting with these attractive women day and night, at 11 p.m. at night, bringing them presents, taking them out for treats, then I believe it's not so much about you and your self-esteem, but it's about the man pushing the boundaries of the relationship, and you have to deal with that, okay, in the most effective manner. Okay, so I'm gonna give you tips for both cases. So let's start with the first case. Knowing you as a private client, I feel this is more in this department of self-love and self-worth, and basically your own stuff that comes up when you're around another attractive woman, another confident woman. So how do you deal with this? No judgment here. We all have our own issues around insecurities and self-esteem. So here's what you can do. Tip number one, okay? You will see that when you feel jealous of a woman, you will always be subconsciously comparing yourself with her, okay? So you will feel as if she has something that you don't have, okay? And in this subconscious comparison, you will feel less than, and you will feel like your man might fall for that. So she becomes a threat, and that's why you feel jealous of her. So the way to turn this around for yourself, Maya, and for everybody else who's watching this, I'm sure this is helpful for many of you out there. The way to turn this around is to remember that there will always be another woman. There will always be another woman who is prettier than you, who is more smart, who is smarter than you, who is more articulate than you are, who is more feminine than you are, who has a better sense of dress up than you have, who is thinner than you, who can dance better than you, who can crack better jokes than you. And all of that means nothing to a man who loves you. Because for him, you are what he fell for. In other words, no other woman out there can replace you. You are unique. Your DNA combination is unique. You're just one of a kind. And that's what he fell for. Okay? And what is important here is that if you get on this train of comparison, which is what you're subconsciously doing, you're going to ruin your happiness. Because as I said, everywhere you go, you're going to meet people who might be better than you, or you might meet women who are better than you at something or another. So what is important here is to remember that your man loves you for who you are and just the way you are. Just this exact combination of craziness, sweetness, little curvy body, exactly as you are. And this is what he fell for, and this is what you have to be proud of, and this is what you have to feel confident in. Okay, so this is a habit. Subconscious comparison is a habit, and it's really a habit of self-torture because, as I just said, anywhere you go, there will always be women who are better than you in some way or another. So it's really important that you stop subconsciously comparing yourself with these women and really believe that now that you wear his Tiffany ring, now that he has said you are his woman for his life, you really believe in his love for you and you really trust in that love. Okay, and this is your stuff. This is something you have to work on, something he's not responsible for. Now, the second way to deal with feelings of jealousy is to use jealousy as a fuel for what you want. Now, what do I mean when I say use jealousy as a fuel for what you want? Whenever we feel jealous of someone, it's because we think they have something we don't have. And we subconsciously want to have that thing. So if you feel jealous of a woman because she's very, very poised, or you feel jealous of a woman because she's made a booming career, or you feel jealous of a woman who is very skinny or very fit, subconsciously you want those things. However, you're not doing anything to have those things. And that's why you are sitting in your home and you're sitting in your apartment, or you're just, being with your man, and you're feeling all that sense of lack, because the truth is, if you took action for yourself, you could have all of those things, and you want to have all of those things, but you're not doing anything about it. Okay, so jealousy can sometimes be an amazing fuel for our dreams. It can be an amazing energy pumper to go forward for what we want. And so, for instance, if you are feeling really bad about being overweight, and you feel like your man is attracted to all these women with amazing figures, or maybe even he's not, and you're just feeling jealous and threatened because they look much fitter than you are, then hey girl, what's stopping you from going to the gym? What's stopping you from doing your exercise? What's stopping you from eating right and getting that amazing body back? Now, I am not saying that men love us for our bodies. All I'm saying is that you are using this as a subconscious trigger to beat yourself up. You are using this as a trigger to feel bad about yourself. So in order to stop feeling bad about yourself in that particular department, you need to take action. Okay? You need to take action, and you need to make it happen for yourself. So if you feel bad that when you go to parties and all the women out there are working and you're not working, then instead of feeling jealous of these women, instead of feeling bad about yourself and sitting on a pity party and just constantly feeling threatened by them, find out what you love doing. Start something of your own. It doesn't matter that you're not a CEO running a company. What matters is that you feel like you're bringing your gift to the world. And these are just examples to show that jealousy, what is jealousy? It's an emotion. Emotion is energy. And we can direct that energy in a way that it serves us to build us up instead of pushing us down. So instead of using these women as a threat, use these women, see these women as inspiration for what you can be, and going for it and taking action. Okay, so that's step number 2. Inspiration instead of jealousy. Take it as a sign of what do I feel like she has that I also want to have, and then take action towards it instead of crying and complaining and feeling bad about yourself. Okay? Now, number 3 is, and this is something that I have learned in my own experience, get to know this person that you feel threatened by. It can work wonders. I can tell you from personal experience, most of the times when I have felt threatened by someone, it's because I have pictured them to be perfect. It's because I have pictured them as people or women who will never have any issue, who have never any struggles. And this is simply not true. Today, with the work I do, I just know that each one of us, no matter how perfect we look, we have our own set of struggles. And when you get to know these people that you feel threatened by, you will see that over time, they will reveal themselves more to you, and you will start to see that, no, she's actually not that high-nosed. She's not actually that perfect. She's real. She's like me, and she has her own set of issues. And that's going to make you relate with these people, and hopefully over time get more comfortable with them. So I know for a fact that some of my husband's friends who I initially felt threatened by or felt competitive towards, today they're all my friends, and they're great friends. They're really amazing friends because they're both our friends. They're not just his friends anymore, they're also my friends. But I remember that when I did not know them well enough, I used to look at them in this picture perfect way, and that sort of put distance between us. But the more I got to know them, the more curious I got about them, the more I saw they're just girl next doors, they're all women like you and me, and they're normal and they're not that perfect, and if they're great with their weight, then they're really bad with their own love stories. If they are very fashionable looking, they've probably got something not going on with their health issues. You will just see that people all over the world are just not perfect, not as perfect as we imagine them to be, and we take them as a threat. So try getting to know this person that you feel threatened by, and believe me, you are going to make friends, and you're going to be so surprised by how normal, down to earth and real they can be, and how much fun it can be when you and your fiance can have the same set of girlfriends. All right, so that was 3 tips for dealing with your part of the work. Of course, I can go on and on about it. These are deeper issues, but I hope those 3 tips when it comes to self-love and self-esteem and dealing with jealousy helps. And those tips were, of course, meant for us, for those of you who know this is about self-love, who know your guy is not doing anything wrong, who know that this is about your feeling and your emotion and your self-esteem. Now, the second category is of jealousy is where we are secure, we are confident in ourselves, and yet the actions the man is doing and taking are constantly triggering us and feel like they are stepping over our boundaries, or feel like they're constantly challenging our comfort zone. So what does this look like? This looks like when a man is actually behaving in ways that no committed man behaves. And there are men out there who will do it. Okay, so do you have a man like that? You have to know this for yourself, because when a real boundary is broken, so for instance, I wouldn't be comfortable with being with a man who texts with women at 7 in the morning in bed. That's for me already not a good sign. Or who brings presents, expensive presents to his other attractive friends. Or if he spends the night too often at an attractive woman's place. Now, those are all evidences of the fact that this is not about your self-esteem, this is about what the man is doing. And in these cases, it is super important, firstly, that you recognize this is happening, that you have that evidence, that you know this is not a figment of your imagination, and that you understand that these kind of situations, they really need to be addressed very powerfully and very effectively in a very firm manner with your man. Okay, so 2 tips for when you feel like the boundaries are really being pushed and this is not about you. So the first tip is as follows: speak up. Okay? Speak up. It's super important that you speak up. Now, when you're going to speak up, if you have done any of my courses, Soulmates Forever or Attract Your Soulmate, Soulmates Forever basically for women in relationships, you know how I teach you there in the feminine expression toolbox of how you can use your feelings not to blame the man, but to actually just express how this makes you feel uncomfortable. Okay? So an example of a script could look like, honey, I know you don't mean bad, but I feel supremely uncomfortable when my man texts with other women so early in the morning in bed. This feels really bad to me. What do you think we can do about it? Okay? Now, once you have said this, it is quite possible that your man or your fiance will fight you on this, and he will disagree with you on this. And this is the most normal reaction, because all of a sudden the man gets into a defensive zone. All of a sudden he feels caught. All of a sudden he feels like he always knew silently he was doing it, but now you're bringing it out in the open and you're confronting him directly, and this is not comfortable. It's not comfortable for you, and it's not comfortable for him. And it's most normal for him to get defensive, tell you they're just friends, or try to call you a crazy cow and tell you that you're super insecure. Now, what is important is for you to understand that this will happen. In most cases, this will happen. We women think that when we say, I don't feel good about this, the man will say, okay, I won't do it. But it hardly ever happens like that, right? The man will try to convince you that he's just meaning this as friends, that you should stop being so insecure, etc., etc. Now, this is where tip number 2 comes. You have to really stick to your boundaries. You really have to stick to your boundaries. In other words, if this means talking about it every single day, if this means saying this is not going to work for me, I cannot live with a man who texts with other women in bed. I cannot live with a man who constantly wants to spend the night at his ex's place, or constantly wants to call attractive women home and have parties with them. I cannot accept this. And no matter what he calls you, no matter what he says, you have to really stick to your boundaries, and you have to be consequential about it. Because there will come a point when he will realize that if he doesn't change his behavior, if he doesn't listen to you, if he doesn't honor your feelings, he's going to lose you. Because this is super important. This is about boundaries. So you are engaged to this man. Imagine leading the rest of your life feeling insecure. If that is the case, okay? If that is the case, that he's actually being flirty and he's actually crossing the line and overstepping the limits, in that case, you're probably better off not being with this man instead of being with him and living this life of torture. So if this is super important to you, and if you really feel like your guy is not doing the right thing, then remember, speak up. And number 2, stick to your boundaries and be consequential. Because if you're going to be flippy floppy about it and ping pongy about it, and today say I don't feel comfortable, and tomorrow tell him it's okay when he blames you and calls you a crazy cow, then he's going to learn how to not take you seriously. And this can be very damaging for your relationship in the long run. All right, so really, to sum it up, understand what the jealousy is about. Is it about you, or is it about what he's doing? If it's about you, then work on yourself. I gave you 3 solid tips on how you can work on yourself and how you can feel better about this person that you're feeling jealous about. But if it's about him, then really it's about boundaries. It's about firm boundaries, being assertive, speaking up, not getting crazy, but really speaking up in a calm, controlled voice, and using the feeling messages and using the feminine toolbox kit I teach you, with the sandwich tools and the don't blame him tools that I teach you in Soulmates Forever, and really sort of sticking to your boundaries very firmly and not giving in. Not giving in, because he's going to try to make you give in and feel better and make you feel like a bad person. But you should expect that, and you should be able to tolerate some discomfort in the short run so that you know you have a good relationship, solid relationship in the long run. All right, so that was it for today. I hope that was helpful for everybody who is listening. You're very welcome to join my private dating and relationship support group, Wunder Divas. I have left the link on the top, so make sure you come join us. I give tons of free expert advice and relationship advice there, so come join us there. And of course, check out my course, Soulmates Forever for Women in Relationships, which will basically cover every topic that you can ever think of that is needed to support you in having an amazing relationship with your man. So understanding how men work in romantic relationships, understanding how romance works. It's not how we women think it works. It's not about giving and loving the man. It's about being able to receive. Then we also talk about communication. We talk about the behaviors that we women do that kill a man's love in a relationship. We talk about sex, all the juicy stuff, how to bring the romance back and how to bring the spark back. And lastly, we also talk about how to be a team, manage kids, manage households. So check out Soulmates Forever. I will post the link on the video title above. I hope that was helpful. And don't be jealous if you can help it. Bye bye. Lots of love.